Unit 4 is the one that is still operating at 60%, and Units 5 and 6 were already being held in reserve, and they are operating normally in low power mode. I must indicate that 2 people have been injured. These people, according to the information we have, are not operators or technical people, and they are part of the security personnel around the plant. So these are the facts. We continue to be in contact with the operators and following the situation, of course, very, very closely. Let me now address how we are addressing this, what are the next steps that we are planning, what is possible in the circumstances. As you know, because we saw each other a couple of days ago, we had a special session of the Board of Governors here. And at that session of the board, I indicated, apart from the general exhortations and reminders of the importance of the general principles of never attacking a nuclear facility and other important conceptual elements, I reminded member states of a number of very clear points that must never be compromised if one is to ensure safety and security at any nuclear facility, be it a reactor or any other facility. And the first one of this was the physical integrity of the facilities. Whether it is a reactor, as I said, a fuel pond, radioactive waste storage, everything. The second point that I mentioned to the board was that all safety and security systems at these places must be maintained and operational. The third point I indicated was that staff needed to be able to fulfill their activities normally. The fourth is that there should be at all times off-site power, electricity, so that the facility is able to continue running normally. I also referred to the supply chain that must be always available in case there is a need, spare parts or things that are perhaps needed for repairs. I also referred as a sixth point to the radiation monitoring systems that are also required so that we have an idea of what's going on from the perspective of the possible presence of radioactivity. And finally, communication. Communication, which is so important, as you have seen throughout this night. Without it, we would have not been able to confirm the things that we are telling you. Well, everybody agrees, without any exception. No country disagrees that these principles must be maintained. However, the first of this, the physical integrity of the plant, has been compromised with what happened last night. So we, of course, are fortunate that there was no release of radiation and that the integrity of the reactors in themselves was not compromised, but yes, the plant in a wider sense. But it is obvious that when we all agree on these principles, words must mean something. And we have to act in consequence. So for us, the IAEA, it is time for action. We need to do something about this. As I also referred to you, I believe, Ukraine sent a request for immediate assistance to us. So, bearing in mind what's happening and the risks that we may all incur if this continues without an enhancement and without a recommitment to these principles, I have indicated to both the Russian Federation and the Ukraine my availability and disposition to travel to Chernobyl as soon as possible, so that these 7 crucial pillars are never again compromised. The idea behind this initiative of mine as Director General of the IAEA is to agree on a framework and on a compromise that would commit to not compromise these principles that we all subscribe and agree to. We all know that given the very complicated circumstances on the ground, the logistics for such a trip, my presence in this place are not going to be easy and would not be easy. But at the same time, I believe they wouldn't be impossible. If we are to extend assistance, we have to be there. And the first to be there must be the head of the IAEA. I want to make clear one point. This initiative of mine has nothing to do with the political aspects of this crisis. This is not my mandate. I am not the Security Council of the United Nations. I am not the Secretary General of the United Nations. I am not a self-appointed mediator. It has nothing to do with that. I want to be extremely clear about this. What we are talking about here is a framework under the aegis of the IAEA, whereby Ukraine and the forces that are present there in the context of this military operation of the Russian Federation can agree to a commitment to not to compromise these principles that I have mentioned. So, as I said, the facts are this. The request for assistance has been made to us. We are not ignoring it. I am ready to come. I stop here and I take your questions. Thank you very much.
So please identify yourself and your media.
Thanks, DG Grossi. Jonathan Tyrone with Bloomberg News. Can you please just clarify who specifically you're in touch with on the Russian side? You said you're in touch with the Energoatom in Ukraine and the regulator. And can you also please clarify, do we know right now whether the control room itself at that nuclear power plant is in possession of Russian forces, or does the utility continue to have control of the room?
Of course. As I mentioned, I am in touch with Russia and also, of course, Ukraine. Ukraine is my natural counterpart. In this, I should always emphasize, because we are talking about Ukraine, and they are our counterparts. However, we know, and this is no secret, there's a military operation and there are Russian forces there. Of course, we do have a number of contacts when it comes to the Russian Federation at diplomatic level and at technical level as well. So this is the first part. The second part is regarding the operation of you're talking about the control room and things like that. Here I should emphasize that for the time being it is purely Ukrainian staff running the operations there. What we have in this case, as we speak, this morning at 11:45, what we have is in Chernobyl and in Zaporizhzhia, we have effective control of the site in the hands of Russian military forces. I hope the distinction is clear.
Good morning. Albert Otti, DPA, German press agency. Just to clarify, you said you're proposing a framework to basically guarantee the safety of the nuclear installations from both sides. How does a trip to Chernobyl contribute to this? Do you plan to negotiate in Chernobyl? I'm not quite sure.
We're going to be sharing some elements with both sides, and we are going to try to agree on that. It's part of the consultations we need to have.
Sorry, that's the plan, to negotiate there.
Yeah.
All right, that was the International Atomic Energy Agency director who was speaking at the moment, talking about saying that the physical integrity of the plant, the nuclear plant which caught fire, was not compromised. There was no release of radiation, and he's in touch with both Russia and Ukraine at this point in time. But on that note, we're going to slip into a very quick break. Be back with more.